Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Hakz here. Welcome to my channel. I just want to say thanks for sticking around. This is the third and final video on CSS for beginners, that is. So yeah, thanks for sticking it out with me. And then yeah, let's dive straight into it. So now let's talk about the ID attribute. Let's talk about the ID attribute. Okay. So what is the ID attribute? So the ID attribute is the same thing as the class attribute, but in this case, you use a hashtag instead of a dot operator. But before that, I'm going to show you this. So dot, the selector, we did not use h2 here because this is a grouped selector. A group selector does not need dot. Right. And then also, before I continue, do not start your your CSS name or your selector name with a number. It's not right. Okay. Um, all right. Okay. So we have block. We have block. All right. What do you want in our block? We want our text to be centered. Oh, hold on. First of all, let's make our text line center. Give a color. Well, actually, before I do anything, so let me make it clear. I almost made the mistake myself. The thing is, you created the block so you can move it around. It's basically to shift it around. It can still take the properties of like the color and whatnot, but in clean CSS, you gotta add another selector. So block P. So basically, the block tag has a P, right? So I want to address only the P. I'm not going to give it any other thing, all right? So I have text align center, color blue, all right? I have color blue, and then boom, it's simple. This was reference sake. We don't see any border box or anything, so this is simple. But now, let's work on dot block. So now what properties can this take? This can take the padding property. So now this brings us to our next common CSS property. Okay, so the padding refers to the space between the text. I'll show you what I mean, the text and the border. Okay, so the padding, let's give it a padding of 10 pixels, and I'll remove this just for reference sake. Padding 10 pixels. Okay, simple enough. Boom. Okay, we don't. Okay, let me prove that this works, right? Okay, so now let me make them side by side. Simple. Okay, so now let me remove all this and then see if it worked. All right, see, it's closer to the how do I say this? The left margin. But now when I add some padding, see? Okay, so now let me clear myself real quick. So the padding here, it basically pads the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. Let me make it more clearer. 10 pixels a bit small. Oh, 10 pixels a bit small. So, all right. So this is it for it. I mean the 100 pixels, it's padding from the top to bottom, from the top to it, and the bottom 100 pixels, the left 100 pixels, the right 100 pixels. Now let's prove this. All right. I'll do another P. No, I'm gonna use a H1 tag. Please do not follow this format. This is just for reference sake. Hella. All right. Okay. So now let's prove that 100 pad, I mean the 100 pixels are actually working. See? See? All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So now we bring it back. This happens. The reason it's still next to it is because it's in that same div tag. Let me see. See? When I take it out of the div, it moves 100 meters away. But when it's in the div, like we saw earlier, it's closer to it. The 100 pixels affect the hello, right? Right. Okay. So we're done with that. Okay. So now let's talk about CSS fonts. So the fonts, we've been using them, but we don't we didn't really talk about it. Like the color. The color is the font. So the font is basically the text. Let's just say the text. All right. So now let's talk about the another one, another common one, the font family. It's still under the CSS fonts. So the font has a font family. All right. So there are many suggestions here. Boom. I'm gonna use this, and it changes to that. I actually like that style, so I'm gonna keep it that way. Okay. So now I'm gonna take this off because we're not doing anything proper here. Okay. So yeah, there it is. And that's the font family in action. There are many ways to do it, but the standard way will be maybe Arial. I'm not saying Arial is a standard one. Arial, sans serif, boom, it changes, yeah. But I said I like the previous one, so I'm just keep it like that. So yeah, that's that. If you want me to do a video on the fonts, just let me know. I'll figure it out and teach you. Okay. So now we have font size. Of course, we can change the size of it. That's logical. The font size, we can use all this, but the better way will be in pixels or, yeah, in pixels. Okay. So I'm going to make it 10 pixels just to show you how small it'll be. See, 10 pixels. Then let's make it a 20 pixels. See, nice. 30 expands. 40 pixels still expands. So yeah, we see that we can have more control with the fonts. So those were only three examples. So there are more, but we're not working on anything here. I'm just using it to explain something. Okay, so we spoke about padding. Now let's talk about margins. So we all know what a margin is, but if you don't, it simply defines the space outside of the border. Okay, so now we have the body tag, right? So now every body is supposed to have a margin, right? A margin of maybe, let's say, 100, just just to show like how dramatic it is. 100 pixels, boom, this is 100 pixels worth of margin. 100 pixels all around, left, right, top, down, all together. 100 pixels. Okay, but before that, I'm gonna mention this. You can decide to style only the top of it, the bottom, the left, the right. You can do this in two ways. You can do this in your property. margin top like this. It'll be only the top, or maybe left, or even bottom, or in or right, of course, naturally. Okay. So there's that. Or you can call your margin property and then do like this, 10 pixels, 10 pixels. So this is, the first one states top and bottom. The second one does left and right. So now for drama, I'm gonna make this 70, right? The 10 pixel left side, right side. So you see here, see, okay. I'm gonna make it a 0, no margin. It does not show, but hold on. Let me inspect it for you. Body, yes. All right. So we can see that the left and right has margins, right? Let me show it to you. Now let me take out the whole body selector and then explain. All right. So we see here it expanded because it has no margins anymore. So that's to show proof of it, though. That's just to show that I'm not capping. All right. That was just by the way. Okay. All right. So that was, we covered the fonts, we covered the border earlier, the padding, the margin, and yeah, that is it. So I'm gonna give a few tips on clean CSS, how to write clean code in CSS, not to make it flawed, like some tips basically. All right. So now the tips I was talking about. So here are the tips basically. So yeah, first of all, you can write, you can't write stuff properly without the div tag. So like I said earlier, all the examples I use are not proper, but this is a proper example of it. Basically, this was to put everything in a tag, in a div tag, so you can control it easily and not make mistakes. And then second of all, you need to stick to a meaningful naming convention. Like I said, block. I explained to you that the div tag is like a block. So I basically used the name block as the attribute's value. See? Very simple. Okay. So now my third tip will be use external style sheets like this, like the way we did this right here. I do not recommend the other two, but you can still do them depending on what you're working on. And yeah, as we progress, I'll talk about more stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching. Um, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Share, like, comment what you thought about the video. And if you have any challenges, you can hit me up on my Instagram or my Twitter. Links down in the description. And yeah, if you can't get a hold of me, you can get me here in the comment section. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And have a great night. Bye.